Folks, I don't think I've ever considered quitting making content more than I have this past week. The backlash to Taylor Lorenz's Wired article has me spooked. The left is literally eating its own, and I'm not sure our side can survive itself. To be clear, I am not in chorus, nor did I even know about it until the article came out. I don't begrudge anyone for disagreeing with the creators, and I didn't love the tone of some of their defenses. But the black and white thinking terrifies me, and I can't accept being treated like a sellout propagandist just because I won't join the pylon. To me, the article was a hit job, and the left fell for it. So let's unpack some nuance. First, let's talk about nonprofits. Most people know the 501c3, the classic charity. They can't lobby, can't endorse candidates, and must stay apolitical. Donors get tax deductions. Then there's the 501c4, or social welfare organization. A C4 can lobby and even do some election-related work, as long as its main purpose is promoting social welfare. Donations are not tax deductible, but the funds can be spent much more flexibly on advocacy. That's why respected groups like the ACLU, Sierra Club, and Planned Parenthood are C4s. The controversy is that C4s don't have to disclose their donor lists, hence the loaded term dark money. Yes, secrecy can be abused. It can obscure corruption or foreign influence. But it's also true that in today's climate, donors supporting progressive causes face real risks of retaliation. That's why anonymity sometimes protects democracy rather than undermining it. For the record, I'd love to get dark money out of politics. Democrats have pushed for that with bills like the Disclose Act, while Republicans have fought to keep the loopholes. But let's not pretend there is no legitimate reason for donors to shield their names in Trump's America. Equating the 1630 Fund, a U.S.-registered 501c4, with last year's scandal about right-wing creators secretly funded by Russian state money is absurd. A C4 files with the IRS, can be audited, and faces penalties for fraud. If foreign nationals secretly funnel money into one, it's a crime. Just like what happened with Tenet Media, where Russian state media laundered nearly $10 million through fake sponsors. The DOJ caught and prosecuted them. A C4 is not a Russian shell company. And here's another piece missing from the conversation. Look at what the 1630 Fund actually funds. Their own site highlights work like defending voting rights, fighting climate change, expanding healthcare access, advancing racial justice, protecting reproductive freedom, and holding corporations accountable. These aren't fringe or nefarious causes. They're the very issues most progressives march for, donate to, and volunteer their time on. This is the same infrastructure that supports some of the most important fights for democracy and human rights in this country. If you want to see what actual foreign influence looks like, look at Tenet Media. Backed by covert Russian state money, it ran for about 11 months before being exposed in 2024. Nearly $10 million was funneled through shell companies to pay right-wing creators. Some influencers earned staggering sums, $400,000 per month, plus a $100,000 bonus, or $100,000 per weekly episode. And their content did change. Once the Russian funding started, the themes leaned heavily into Kremlin-friendly narratives. Skepticism about Ukraine, racial resentment stories, conspiratorial divides meant to weaken U.S. cohesion. In less than a year, Tenet churned out almost 2,000 videos, racking up more than 16 million views, before prosecutors shut it down. That's what foreign infiltration looks like. That's what corruption looks like. And it's nothing like a U.S.-registered 501c4 backing pro-democracy causes. Critics also claim that any creator who took money from a C4 is controlled. But every creator already adjusts their content for platform rules, algorithms, and community standards. That doesn't make them compromised, it makes them realistic. The idea of a completely uncompromised creator is a myth. The article didn't mention Gaza, yet much of the backlash I've received insists that chorus creators were banned from discussing it. But that doesn't track. The creators I follow do talk about Gaza. I do too. I've called it genocide, I've criticized Netanyahu, I've talked about starvation, and still I'm accused of silence or complicity. No matter what you say, someone's ready to twist it into proof that you've sold out. The article blurred lines between who was actually in the cohort and who was just in a group chat. That implication exposes creators to scrutiny without evidence. It's ethically shaky and unfair. And let me also say this. Whatever you think of the funding debate, the creators named in that piece work hard to put out thoughtful, engaging content. They're not perfect. None of us are. But their efforts to inform, mobilize, and connect people on the left are real, and that deserves acknowledgement. One last thing. I've noticed that many of the loudest critics claim they support left-wing creators making money, that creators should be paid for their work. Really? Then who's supposed to pay them? Because it sure isn't you. I'm not talking to the people who genuinely can't afford to contribute or to the ones who show their support in other ways. Sharing, commenting, spreading the word. That solidarity matters. I'm talking about the critics who sit in judgment while giving nothing back. I have 200,000 followers across platforms, and the number who actually contribute financially is almost none. The truth is, if the very idea of me receiving regular compensation automatically makes me corrupt or controlled, then what you're really saying is that creators like me should disappear. And maybe that's the most dangerous part of all. Because without sustainable support, the left won't just lose creators. It will lose its voice. Here's where I'm at. I try to be my imperfect self online. I try to make politics funny, to give people a release valve. I mostly fund it out of my own pocket. I do it because I care about this country. But if one disagreement erases everything people know about me, why keep doing it? This is bigger than Wired. It's about whether the left will cannibalize itself with purity tests, while the right builds an empire with 8 times the resources. If we can't distinguish between illegal 501c4 and Russian infiltration, we're setting ourselves up to fail. I understand the fear that adopting tactics we condemn risks our moral high ground. But the moral high ground is starting to look like a trap the left sets for itself while the right steamrolls ahead. If purists burn down every imperfect initiative, even ones that could help us save democracy and protect millions of people, we're doomed. So before you join the pylon, ask yourself, who benefits when liberal creators are eviscerated? And can you find enough gray area to avoid silencing your own side? Because silence is exactly what the other side wants.